Hi everybody, thanks for stopping by to check out the latest from Sailing Emerald Steel. Those of you that have been with us for a long time and following our channel will remember that a while back we put out a series of videos called Living the Dream on a Low Budget, and we got to part 17 where we stopped in Hawaii. So in this episode we're going to tell you how we came about picking up crew and how things turned out. In 1994, after 3 years of cruising and working in Hawaii, it was time to head south. We were an international group, American, Czech, Canadian, and a New Zealander. Our first landfall will be Fanning Island, 850 miles south of Hawaii. This is Ed, the New Zealander, and Rick, the Canadian.
So as those of you who watch our videos from beginning know that when we left San Diego for Hawaii, we had $1,700 to our name. So once we got to Hawaii, naturally we had to pick up the jobs. We didn't have any sales except a second-hand hand-me-down from our friend. So we decided that before we go any farther south, we should find a jobs and resupply our boat, because living in the U.S. would not be as easy to get a jobs and earn the money. So Susan got a job in a restaurant, I got a job for parasales, and we worked in Hawaii for a little over 2 years. So where Susan was working, her manager, he was about 35, 36 years old, I would say about 5-6 years younger than me.
He was kind of a sporty, athletic guy. He liked to kayak and hike a lot, so.
Yeah, so anyway, as I was sitting there one day at the bar drinking Coke, I told him, I said, "Hey Rick, how would you like to come with us to South Seas?" Well, naturally, I was just kind of making small conversation, didn't think about it. Then the opportunity would arise and we really cared to take him with us. Anyway, we actually became a pretty good friends. He had a car because he lived there, so he helped us pick up a propane and so on and so forth. But anyway, the way things worked out after a year or so, when the time came to go to the South Seas,
we saved up some money.
Yeah, we bought our new sails, had some saving. Just so happened where Susan was working at a restaurant, they decided to close it. So as we was getting ready to go to the South Seas, our friend Rick stopped by because he just lost a job too. He said, "Hey Jules, were you serious about taking me with you guys to the South Seas? Because I just lost a job and I was thinking it would be a good time for me to experience something like that. And who knows if ever come a opportunity in my life to be able to do something like that." So I look at him and I say, "You know, Rick, let me talk to Susan, I get back to you." So we talked with Susan and we said, "You know, he's a really nice guy, he's easygoing." He had a girlfriend, she was Japanese girlfriend living in Maui. Her family owned a big grocery store. So anyway, we said, okay. I called him, I said, "Hey Rick, sure, if you'd like to come, you got to make a decision. You got to really think about it, because the long passages are not all that
glamorous
as some people think." Anyways, he said, "Yes, I would love to come." So I told him, "Okay, Rick, I'll make a deal with you. You pay for your expenses, a few bucks extra, and you deposit $1,000 with me, which would be for your ticket going back to the States whenever you decide to go." So anyway, decision was made. He said he will come and help us haul out the boat, do the painting, and just prepare the boat for a voyage. Now, about 2 weeks later, he came by. He says, "You know, Jules, I have a roommate. His name was Ed." And he says, when he heard that I'm leaving for South Seas and he's not going to be able to keep the place, he decided if he can come too.
He wanted to kind of get a trip to New Zealand because we thought we might be going to New Zealand. So
we didn't really know him. We probably met him once or twice.
Yeah.
So we say, "Rick, if you can kind of vouch for him, we will take him." Rick was from Canada originally, and Ed was a New Zealander. Now he had a really good talk, how good he is, how much experience he had, and so forth. And there's a story we'll tell. You will see how the things end up. So the decision was that they will come with us, we will take them, and they will go as far as they like, providing things work out. We made a decision, and either one of us could make a decision that, okay, that's the end of it, you have to leave or stay as long as we or you want it.
So about 10 days before we left on our big voyage, we hauled the Emerald Steel out, and Rick and Ed both came and helped us to paint the bottom It was pretty helpful because Rick had a car and he was able to help us get paint and supplies and so forth. And a few days before leaving, Rick's girlfriend came by with a carload full of supplies.
Emerald Steel never been so supplied as this time. She brought boxes and boxes of food, canned foods, crackers, soups, had a bunch of wine, beer, sodas. I mean, anything you could think, they had it. Her parents owned the store, so there was just no limit of the supplies. She was fixing him up like if he was leaving for a year expedition to Antarctica.
She didn't want her man to go hungry.
Yeah, so we was really loaded. So I think we had enough food to last us over to New Zealand.
Not only that, but she also gave us a lot of sunscreen and
Yeah.
things like that, medical supplies.
I mean, she brought
nice.
so many things that it's even hard to remember, much less repeat it here.
Yeah. In the beginning, we had a very good time. Everyone stood their watches, and we did a lot of fishing with great success. It appeared as if it would be an enjoyable passage.
Whoa, pretty.
Jules always found things for them to do so they wouldn't be bored, such as making baggy wrinkles here, which always came in handy for preventing our sails from chafing. We played a lot of backgammon, cards, and did plenty of reading too. What are you guys doing?
Oh, a little bit of...
Rick, the mule, relaxing in a Saudi strait. Another crew member, Ed. Yes, that's him. Reading and enjoying beautiful Saudi strait. Yeah. And here we have Susan.
There was great excitement on board when we hooked a marlin. Luckily it broke loose because we hated to kill such a beautiful fish.
Huh? She's on it, man.
Careful when you jerk. You broke loose.
The guys came in very handy, helping Jules, changing the sails, standing watches, etc. The only problem was, as we found out very shortly, that Ed knew absolutely nothing about sailing, as he'd claimed earlier. And when we had to keep telling them over and over the names of the different parts of the boat, lines, it became kind of frustrating. Rick told us at the beginning that he didn't know anything about sailing, but Ed was full of bluster at the beginning about all of his experience, so he turned out to be a bit of a disappointment. Even though Rick didn't know anything about sailing, he was a quick study and was always willing to help in any way to keep the ship running. That is what you want from a crew member. When it came to working out on the bowsprit, Jules was always the one to do it. He didn't feel comfortable having someone else go out because he didn't want to lose anyone overboard. After noticing that the barometer was falling, it was time to shorten sail. We replaced our Genoa for a Yankee jib. It's much harder than working with roller furling.
Release the ship, jib ship.
Back in the...
About 2 feet.
Okay,
Yeah, gyps in the winch.
you got the wedge.
Now, where else can be gyps for that thing? Ah!
As you can see on the horizon, the weather was turning towards the worst, and only at this point it started to become apparent who was worth his salt and who wasn't.
Lose the halyard. About 2 feet.
Yeah?
Lose the downhole. Oh, I got it. Yeah, release halyard about 2 feet.
Got it, 3 foot.
Halyard. Good. Yep. Switch her up. One more time. All right, good. That's the way to go, guys. Okay, here. Take the slack on the downhole. Pull on the downhole a bit. Okay, good. Tie roll there. Very good. Hey, you guys, roll up the sail, okay?
As you saw on the video, we were just replacing a Genova with a Yankee jib, and it was not too soon. By that evening, about 6 o'clock, the sky really darkened, and the whole front of us was so dark that it was hard to believe. I had a common sense to take even Yankee jib down, so we still had a staysail, and I put 2 reefs into our mainsail. Then later on it started raining, not raining, pouring. If you ever saw rain, that was like a bucket. It was lightning, I would say, every 30 seconds lightning was striking all around us. I was really concerned that we might get hit by a lightning, but luckily it did not happen. The wind started blowing, we were blowing a gale plus. Now, actually, my staysail was too big for a job, so I had to go to the front to put a reef into it because my staysail is good size and has one reef in it. I asked Ed to come help us, but he was so scared he didn't want to go out, have anything to do with it. Like Susan can tell you how he acted.
At that time, he just showed that he was absolutely petrified. He was laying down on his bunk, and he had a sheet pulled up to his neck, and his hands were over his chest. And he was just laying there. He was just laying there, and every time a wave or something would hit the boat, he would just go like, oh, "What was that? What was that?" He was just like, I felt so sorry for him.
So
he was scared.
pretty much he was totally worthless. Luckily, Rick was willing to come out with me, so we slowly crawled to the front deck because what happened was pretty much hard on the wind, and actually waves was hitting our boat, and the waves was coming over the front deck. So the front deck was about 2 feet underwater most of the time. So I told Rick to be ready to release the staysail. I crawled to the front. As I was putting on the staysail down, Rick was slowly releasing it, and then I was slowly be able to put a reef in it and switch her up again, and slowly went back to the cockpit. After a while we heaved to. So she was not laboring as hard. She was much better than before when she was pounding into the seas very much. But I was very disappointed with Ed. The weather kept like that for 2 days, and Ed was totally zero help. He didn't for 2 days came out at all. And finally, after 2 days, morning came clear.
And then things kind of came to a head. Jules and Ed had a little bit of a personality clash, you could say.
Rick actually wrote some letters to his parents, and afterwards he
sent it to us.
Yeah, afterwards he made copies of them and sent it to us. So Susan's gonna read you a part of it, so you can have an understanding from the third point of view.
Third person's point of view.
Yes.
So I'm going to read a little excerpt here from Rick's letter to his parents. Okay, anyways, back to Ed. After a hell of a night with Julius and I staying up all night, Jules and Ed had quite the run-in. We were enjoying our morning cocoa, which we always had every morning, kind of like a treat for making it through another night, out on the deck, and Jules was kind of teasing Ed if he could come and look at the sunrise. Ed was just getting up, and he told us that he likes to fold up his sheet and get up in a very unhurried manner. Jules kept encouraging him to come right away, though. Ed stuck his head out of the cabin and started explaining how he gets irritated when he's rushed in the morning, and he likes to start off things slowly, not looking at the sunrise at all. Jules blew up and told him where to go. He told Ed we'd been up all night in the storm on deck, and he was irritated. We hadn't had any sleep yet, let alone wake up slowly. Susan and I just sat there quietly until things settled, and it was a little bit embarrassing. I think Ed was scared, though, and wasn't expecting that kind of reaction. Later on, Ed told me, "Did you see his eyes? He looked crazy." So Ed got seasick when it started getting rough, and when we first take off after being on land for a few days. Also, Ed and Julius didn't get along very well. Julius is different from other people. He's mostly overcautious and demanding, but being overcautious is appreciated when we're out here at sea. He pretty much tells people what he's thinking, and he never beats around the bush. He doesn't take any crap from anyone. He's always fair, though, with us on the boat. And Susan is a sweetheart. She works harder than the both of us. She cooks 3 meals a day with fresh French bread almost every day.
So much for insert, but as you can see, it's actually many pages which you recorded trip, as you will see further down the line of our videos. So anyway, that's pretty much explained it to you. Try to be fair with the people, but as a captain, you gotta take a stand.
It's hard when you take on extra people. Sometimes personalities just clash, and it really wasn't anything against Ed. He was really scared, and it didn't work out very well.
The good part actually was then afterwards he kind of kept a distance from me, but didn't really show any hostility. Feelings, any hostilities. So we were able to stop in a Fanning Island, which is going to be our next stop, and stay there for several days, and afterwards continue to Pago Pago, American Samoa. I truly believe, after reading that letter from a rig, that if there would be airport in Fanning Island, he would probably departed then, but he managed to wait till Pago Pago, where we politely said goodbye, and he took a flight into New Zealand from there.
It ended up as best as it could, but we'll talk more about it in the next video.
Yeah.
Okay guys, so that's it for now. I hope you enjoyed the video and got something out of it. And if you did, don't forget to leave a comment and a thumb up. We love hearing from all of you. And we'd like to once again thank all of you that support our channel through Patreon and PayPal. We really appreciate your support, guys. Thank you so much, and we will see you all next time. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.